afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your all coming to this program today, in spite of this lovely weather that we got. Yeah, I think just about everybody turned up. I'm not going to go into the information very much that was at your chair, but what's inside of it is, on the inside, is some information regarding the financial highlights for the past 3 years in our budget for 2017. On the left-hand side are some highlights for the year. I do want to point out that while it does look like we've kind of seesawed in our income from year to year to year, you can't look at it on a yearly basis. You have to look at it on an average because we've got so many differences of our events, and everything we do to present our financial information is done on a cash basis. We're also zero-based budgeting. So we're supposed to make as much as we spend according to our budget guidelines. We're very, very fortunate because over the past 3 years, we have pushed $87,000 to the bank. We started with, we took $89,000 to the bottom line. The returned earnings until January 1 of 2014 were $37,000. So all that we had several years where the recession was bad. We all had cash flow problems personally in our businesses, and as did municipalities, as did not-for-profits. So we've done really, really well in the last 3 years. We're fiscally solid, we're stable, and we're not in peril. We had over $100,000 in cash assets at the end of 2016. The members and staff have worked very hard to improve our cash position in the chamber. Thank you so very much. It takes all of you. I look forward as our current business enterprises continue expansion and new business, and understand that the chamber will continue to work and support and mentor the business community. That's what we're here for. This evening, well, first of all, there's a couple personal things in my life I'd like to point out. 60 years ago today, I got married and started a family life and started working. Kind of important. None of my children are here, but I do have one child that is a great adult. Could be a grandmother one of these days soon, and I have several grandchildren. But anyhow, as I look back to 1957 when I got married, and what's happened in the past 60 years, I could never have imagined that I would have spent this many years in Florida, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm a kid raised in Chicago. My husband was too. Our families were all from the Channel Lakes area and up in the Midwest, and so coming to Florida in 1980 was a big deal for me. I was 10 years younger, twice as smart, and made half as much money. I want us to have a little bit of fun here today, so I'm not going to go into very much more, except to say, tonight I'm going to a volunteer appreciation and award dinner for SCORE Chapter 87. As you know, my membership role in the chamber has always been as a SCORE representative. What you probably do not know is that several of our members and business owners also volunteer with SCORE. Would you please stand and remain standing to be recognized for your work mentoring and assisting small businesses in Volusia, Southeast Volusia, Mike Finaro and Rick Haas. They're both you don't get to eat for a minute. Sorry, I'm at the podium. Wouldn't sit at my table. We also have 2 other chamber members that are SCORE volunteers. Lee Moore, who's a very new member that Rick Haas has brought in, and Carla Zeraldo, who most of you know, who is also a board member. We also have 2 people that are actively volunteering, Ken Swanton and Jack Pfeiffer. They are in Southeast Volusia as well, and Ken and Jack both were with the original sport team. We used to have an office in the chamber building that was manned every day. I don't know how many of you remember that. Yeah. And when I came back and started to be a score volunteer in 2011, we started to put that back together again, and we're able to pick up some of those resources we have. The next thing I'd like to do is to ask everybody else to stand.
Thank you.
This is how you get.
Ask what?
This is how you get your exercise in this kind of a program, and you're not going to get back because I'm not letting you eat too much. I want you to applaud yourselves. Very successful in the business community. Now I want you to shake the hand of the person next door to you, or next to you, and raise them as well. Thank you so It's over. We're going to get to something even more fun. I'm going to ask several of you to speak impromptu. I get to tell you what you have to respond to. That's even better. Many of you may be familiar with Dale Carnegie or Toastmasters. And in the Toastmasters program, they have something called table topics, where someone is asked to speak for a brief period.
You need it out?
Yeah. So, with table topics, a member gets assigned a topic and speaks on it for a brief period of time. In this case, less than 2 minutes, although I did see that we had an extra 10 minutes as we started this program, so maybe we can go a little longer, and preferably 60 to 90 seconds. I'm going to pass around. Is there a pen there, Rick?
Yes.
Could you pass that around?
Sure.
We've been talking about in our program of work for 2017 is the idea of starting a Toastmasters Club. So what we're passing around is if you are interested in Toastmasters, please provide some information. So now, our first table topic is directed to Lee Griffiths from Midden Lake. He's a longtime member and former board member. So, you actually can say anything you want, but my question is, what were the wow moments?
What were the wow moments, not just for this year, but the last few?
During your time as a member and as a part of leadership.
Okay, great.
Nope, it's all your baby.
I tell you, the wow moment for me is to compare the highlights that you just talked about, Lillian, with the chamber today and how it was 10 years ago when I was around, active in the chamber. We didn't have highlights, we had lowlights. And the wow for me, again, is to see how this group has grown over the last 10 years to not just $100,000 in the bank when we had zero in the bank 10 years ago. And we're truly floundering. So the wow for me, again, is to take the opportunity to say how proud you are of the people that were involved to make that change. Several of them are here. Sue Williams for one. Melanie for two. Back in my day, of course. And who else? Mike Gennaro. Let's see, miss anybody else? But we had some really serious business to do, and we decided we were going to reinvent ourselves and restructure ourselves and put a plan together, establish some goals, and said we're going to go out and do it and make it happen. And here we are 10 years later, and it has happened. And I'm so proud of the Chamber to know that it's in great hands in the future as well. So thank you for the opportunity to say a big wow. So may you always have love to share, health to spare, and friends who care. And that's what you find with the good old Chamber. Thank you.
Melanie Emanuel, State President in 2012. What would you say to potential new members, or you can say anything you want?
Potential new members. None of you are here. But take this and tell potential new members. You do kind of get out what you give, right? So it takes two of the chamber and you, Rosie's famous words, but it does. Getting involved in the community, the business community. The more you give, the more you get. And that's what I would tell them every day. I love the chamber.
On the back cover is some information that Melanie has shared through the testimonials that are on our brand new and wonderful website. Sue Williams, Executive VP at the Chamber, President 2010. What was your biggest challenge in 2010?
All right, Lee Griffith has hit that one on the head. Looking at our financials, realizing, and financials and budgets can be sometimes very overwhelming, even for a board of CEOs of businesses such as yourselves, and realizing that we had no money. Zero. We were in the hole. I mean, I just got goosebumps. I mean, those chamber doors could have been closed. We had to make some very, very drastic changes. And we did. And I shared with Lillian this morning that my motto during 2010, I even wrote it, said that our moniker for 2010 would be the Chamber of Courage. And that's what we became. Because it's mindset and belief, and you're right, it's about building those relationships and just doing it. Just putting one foot in front of the other and doing the right thing every single day. And we did it. We made some very tough decisions. Very, very tough decisions. And some amazing people who stepped up to the plate, our partners that stepped up to the plate and said, what can we do for you? How can we help? When we shared with them what was really what was going on. The recession hit us hard. But here we are today, and by doing zero-based budgeting, by funding every event, by saying, people would say, well, what's the budget for that? I'm sorry, there isn't one. We have to go out and get the money to do that. So because we can't use our membership dollars for other things other than the membership, than our membership, what's the word I'm looking for?
Benefits.
But our membership benefits, as well as our motto and our mission statement. We cannot do that. And we always have to remember that, because that is part of what created that moment a long time ago, along with the recession. So I am eternally grateful, and I always sign my emails with gratitude. And Lillian pointed out that I always say this, and I didn't even realize it, that it takes each and every one of you. That's why we're here, and I think.
All right, next we have Mike. Mike, the Rainmakers Consulting SCORE volunteer, President in 2015. I'm going to let you say anything you want.
Lock the doors. We're going to be here a while.
Just getting real. Wait a minute, about 90 seconds left. Timer.
I will keep my comments related to the chamber. When I first got here into the southeast Volusia area, probably 11, 12 years ago, I just started a new business over here. I've always been involved in chambers in other parts of Florida where I operated, and I encountered a extremely closed, cliquish environment, and to the point where I literally had to bang on the desk of somebody in the chamber and said, how can I'm begging you to be involved, how can that happen? So, economy hit, 2010 came, leadership changes, And I think that that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to the chamber, because from that day forward, we had a new and a very energized group of people that had a vision for where we were going, and over the path of the last 7 years, we've made dramatic changes, not only in our culture, our financial position, and this chamber is poised for greatness for years to come. And I do want to point out, if you look at your program in the year 2015, those financials, that was my year, by the way.
Remember timing, folks.
Just want to point that out because this is being filmed. So, I've always subscribed to the belief that the chamber benefit goes far beyond networking. We're all here, we all have an element of networking in our businesses, and I think that that's what a lot of folks believe the mission of the chamber is. But 90% of what happens at the chamber is below the surface, and most people are not aware of it. So during my year and my time on the board, I was always talking about the evangelism of the chamber. And we need to go out and let people know what this chamber does on a daily basis so that they become members or encourage other people to become members. Because this chamber, for those of you who are not aware, we had over 2,000 members at one point in time. And that can happen again if people stop getting if they can get out of the mindset that I'm going to pay my money, and if I don't get any direct return, then there's no value. So the value far exceeds the opportunity to go to business after hours and events. So the work that gets done, our program of work, both at the civic level, our involvement in educational causes, and all the things that we do as a chamber for our program of work go far, far, far beyond the networking events. So I'd ask all of you to take that with you and encourage everybody to become a member.
Those people had some advance notice that they were going to be asked to say something. Now we're going to move to people who don't know they're going to be asked to say something. Larry Bowman, Florida Power and Light, board member, staunch supporter of the chamber. What change in the next 4 to 5 years in the southeast Volusia area will affect Florida Power and Light's business plan?
And my name is Larry Bolanek. I'm regional manager with Florida Power and Light, and I handle Seminole, Volusia, Flagler counties. And what you're starting to see now is a move towards renewables. In fact, just last Monday, we went ahead and did a commissioning on 3 solar fields over about 225 megawatts of solar. And we just announced recently that we're going to be going ahead and adding 8 more solar sites in the state of Florida. And I think you'll probably see maybe a solar site potentially coming into this area. So we'll see more renewables generated. Although we don't... We're looking at 2020 to have probably about 6% of our generation throughout the state of Florida from renewables. And although we don't specifically serve New Smyrna Beach, we do actually provide all the wholesale power to New Smyrna Beach. So in turn, that solar that we're going to generate will also come into this city.
Great. Where's Volusia next? Rick Hawes, Cambridge Wealth Management, core volunteer and board member. Less than 90 seconds, and that's going to be hard for him. We're good buds, though.
Yes.
What is the biggest challenge to economic development in Southeast Volusia? This is a 90-second answer I'm asking for on a question that probably takes 9,000 hours to answer.
The people in this room. No, just kidding. That's my best joke. I'm so sorry. The greatest challenge to economic development in this area. Well, one thing I can tell you is exactly the opposite of the people in this room. You may be well aware that there is something called the Southeast Volusia Marketing Initiative that's going on. It involves New Smyrna Beach, Edgewater, and Oak Hill. And one of the things that I found, I've only been here a couple of years, but I would say the thing that has impressed me most about the area after living in Chicago and Detroit, upstate New York, and spent time in Southern California, is kind of the openness and frankly regularness of this area, which means we're all able to communicate a lot easier than sometimes you see elsewhere. So that communication has led to this cooperation. There are city resolutions that have done it. And so I don't see anything other than just our own energy and time commitment to putting those things in place. Deb Denny's is working on sewer and water for Oak Hill. And speaking to Doug Gibson down there, they see that as a big thing. They know that space may be a part of their future, but then again, it may not be. But that's not deterring them. They know where they've got to go. Edgewater, I don't know how much we can say about them. There's been so much that's gone on. Bliss and others have really pushed this forward, and certainly Tony in New Smyrna. So I can't see anything other than just us keeping our nose to the grindstone and seeing this going forward. And frankly, having a vision for the area is really, I guess, what I would say the big thing. Thank you.
So how about keeping on?
Yes.
Mayor Ignatius, put you on the spot for a moment. Could you spend a few seconds telling us what has been the biggest challenge for Edgewater to move forward with your economic development? Another one that takes hours and hours.
That is a complicated question. Part of the problem we were experiencing in Edgewater is just what Mike alluded to. We had cliques, we had special interests, we had people that did not want to share. We had people that had ideas, and I want to say they were encased in the ideas, they didn't want to move. And changing that mindset and getting them to look at situations differently, to look at other opportunities, to get involved in groups such as the Chamber here. We found resistance. And we had to go out there and constantly market it and push it. And part of the situation is, and we have explained and we're happy to say it here, there are groups like this sitting right now in other areas of the county, and they're sitting in other areas of the state. They're competitive. They're looking to do the same thing we're looking to do here. They have areas of interest they'd like to develop. They have economic initiatives they want to push. And we're in constant competition with those. And we constantly have to polish the apple, bang your own drum and say, we're here, we're offering you this, we're better than they are. We have all of this here to offer you and to offer your company, and go out there. And if you don't do that, and you don't aggressively pursue it and continually pursue it, someone else is going to jump ahead of the line. And that's why we're following up with a lot of these initiatives that are going on right now. And there's quite a few of them going on, some in Edgewater I can't even talk about now because of confidentiality things were there. But we have managed to put together a good group. I've seen many of the people here and there who are doing that, who are aggressive, who are actually going out there and soliciting and finding business opportunities and bringing them in. And if you don't go out and find them yourself and bring them into your community, somebody else in an adjoining community is going to do the same thing and bring it into theirs. So for this, I commend you. This is one of the main reasons why the city constantly supports the Chamber, will always be behind the Chamber, because this is the integrating mechanism to bring everybody together to move in that direction. And we see the same thing here because we share the same ideas, the same future, and the same vision our sister cities, New Smyrna and Oak Hill, do. And we want to keep that moving forward. So that's my 90 seconds. Thank you.
And I promise you this is the last one. Donna Snow, board member, president-elect,
I get a question.
one of two people who put forth the idea of starting a Toastmasters Club. Your impromptu question is, as a table topic, what will you focus on this year in preparation of your presidency next year?
That is an easy question, but first I want to say, very clever, Lillian, that you found a way to not do all the talking. And I'm gonna remember this because I suspect that next January or February will be my term. So thank you for the idea. For me, I've spent 4 years really entrenched in membership, and that was my life, was membership. And I found two great people to take over membership. So economic development is an area that I felt like I needed to learn more about. And so I've been on the City of Edgewater Economic Development Advisory Board for the past couple of years, and I'm in my second term down there now. Rick asked me to get more involved with the Southeast Volusia Marketing Initiative. So that's where my focus of learning is over the next year, to be more prepared to step into your shoes and so many other very big shoes to fill. Also, and I'm just going to throw this out there, we're hoping to bring the Disney Institute back next year.
Oh, great.
All right. By the way, my mentor has been Mike Finero in spite of everything he said. Part of our program at board, as I mentioned earlier, was to see if there was enough interest to start a Toastmasters Club, which is why I've sent around that form and why I had us have a little bit of fun today. But Don is exactly right. I did figure out a way not to do all the talking. Thank you so very much for being here. By the way, it's about you.